Hey, I'm Maureen,
And I'm Erin.
and we are God's Good Table. We wanted to sit down and have a chat today and talk about where all of this came from, where this idea of God's Good Table came from, and why are we pursuing this intense dream of ours. And so first, we wanted to talk a little bit about our background so you understand where we are. I, of course, grew up in a household with a very sick mother with lots of ailments, and when I was about 12 years old, she changed her diet completely, lost about 150 pounds, and also lost all kinds of health issues that she had accumulated over the years as well. And that struck me and stayed with me through all of my life, this thought in my brain that maybe food has something to do with how we feel. And so as a young wife and mom, I started to do my own research, my own study, and as I'm raising kids and trying to take care of them and their dad, and health issues come up from time to time, I kept discovering more and more information. A lot of it was very conflicting. For instance, for a time, I was very interested in the Hallelujah diet, which is a biblically based diet, but based on the book of Genesis, on the creation times. And it was a total vegan diet before veganism was a thing. But then I was also learning about just natural foods and raw milk and things like this, and the benefits of animal foods, and it was so unclear to me. At the same time, I'm having babies, and we're experiencing some issues. In particular, I remember that Peter, who is now 24, when he was in utero, I took an antibiotic one time, and I was on a very heavy soy-based diet with a low animal input. He was born with severe gut issues. This was before the time of the internet, and I had limited availability of resources. But I knew some people, I bought some books, I went to conferences to learn, and it took about 6 years. And it was trial and error, but eventually I hit upon a diet that eliminated grains and sugars and all kinds of other stuff, and eventually we were able to heal him. Years went by, and I learned about the Weston A. Price Foundation. I had a Mennonite farmer friend who kept saying, "You need to buy this cookbook. You need to buy this cookbook." It was called Nourishing Traditions. I kept saying, "I don't need another cookbook." But I finally broke down and bought it, and it was just like an epiphany. And then I heard Dr. Ron Schmid, the late Dr. Ron Schmid, speak at a conference that I was attending to learn more. And he talked about the research of Dr. Weston A. Price. And for me, that's when everything finally made sense. I could see the biblical connection. I could see the scientific and the historical connection between food as medicine, food to build health, regain health, and have healthy babies. And I could finally see that there was so much misinformation out there, but just common sense kind of sunk in and revealed itself to me. So during all of this time that I'm learning and discovering, Erin is a young child. She's going through all of these dietary changes with the rest of us and watching the struggles. She was brought up primarily on a farm. Most of our kids were brought up on one of two farms, or both farms in your case, where we began to raise almost all of our own food. So we did buy things like salt and honey, although we had honeybees on and off. But we raised our own milk, eggs, meats, vegetables, and then of course everything else that we couldn't raise ourselves, we either bought from a favorite health food store or from farmers in the area. That proved to be wonderful for our family's health. Do you remember anything in particular about?
Oh yeah, lots of things. Like I remember being really young, and we would do the shopping trips every 2 or 3 weeks. And we would go visit all the farms and pick up the milk and the cheeses and meat from the farms. And then I remember going to Sonny Wald's, that has a very it was probably one of the first wonderful health food stores in Pennsylvania. that I remember just started out really small, and we would go to, and it was just like a little room
shop in a
and
warehouse.
we would go, and the people were so sweet, and then it was exciting to watch them on their own journey as they opened like a big, they opened a big store, and just lots of memories of doing that, and then just lots of memories of having the cows and the chickens, and
which Erin did not especially
that
appreciate.
wasn't my thing. I wasn't really into the animals, but I was thankful for the eggs, and I'm thankful for the good things that we were blessed with through that. But lots of memories of just, especially after you found the Weston A. Price Foundation, and you were learning, and then you were sharing what you learned with people. And like back in the days, whenever phones were still attached to the wall, Mom would be, and we had like a 20-foot cord. Mom would be like in the kitchen cooking while she was on the phone with someone, trying to give them help, and be like, okay, here's like what I learned about this and that. And people have all for just about as long as I can remember, coming to Mom to ask, how do I do this? How do I feed my family this way? What can I substitute for this? So it's just always, I've just always grown up in the environment where she's been learning, just constantly like learning from people, doing her own research through books and studies. And so she's always constantly learned. And so I've just kind of, I'm thankful to have grown up in a home where we were always trying to educate ourselves and learn. So thankful for that. Even though I didn't really appreciate it whenever I was obviously a kid, and I was like, I just want to eat like everybody else.
Yes, and I've heard that over the years with 9 kids.
Very thankful for the way that you brought us up now, and I'm 36 years old, and I've only ever had one cavity in my entire life, and that was like 5 years ago. I remember I called you up, and I was like, I have one cavity. And I was like, thank you so much for feeding us so well. So just a lot of memories surrounding the community that you built through that, and back to the honey. I remember there was one time, because we would get honey in like 5-gallon buckets, and you would fill up a jar to put in the kitchen. So we keep the 5-gallon bucket of honey in the closet, in the pantry, and then you would keep a jar in the kitchen to use. And I remember one time, because we'd always have to refill it up, and so we refilled the jar, and I remember, I think it might have been Peter, someone was carrying the jar of honey by the top of the glass jar, and the whole thing just like shattered. I just remember that when you said honey, that just like came back to my memory. I remember that now.
How about the explosions of fermented foods?
Oh yeah, lots of those.
Lots of those. Yep, explosions. Like, okay, I let things ferment maybe just a few hours too long, and you go to open something, and it's a volcano, maybe red.
Yes.
Erupting and hitting the ceiling.
Oh, and I'm the one that I made kombucha when I was a teenager. Nobody knew what in the world it was. Everybody thought it was disgusting, and I was the one that was making kombucha and kept the jars in the pantry, and I'd show out my friends, be like, look at this cool thing, and I liked mine like a little bit more on like the acidic like cider vinegar side. So I would always like make it a little bit more. Be like, it's healthier for you, just eat it, and they would all get mad at me because I would let it go a little bit longer.
And people would make fun of us, and now everybody drinks kombucha.
Yep.
So
we were making I remember I was the one that made the sourdough bread when I was a teenager, and we did all the things. We did all the things for a long time that now everybody thinks is a really cool thing to do.
Yeah,
so.
but when we were doing it, then it was not cool.
We were the weird ones.
Very weird.
Well, we probably are still the weird ones, but
I think we are.
Yeah.
At least I am. I don't know. But we had a lot of fun. I love and appreciate how we brought you kids up on the farm and doing all of these things. I love learning, and I certainly have changed my mind on many things over the years as I have accumulated more information. There's always more information coming out. I really appreciate, too, that all of the research that Dr. Weston A. Price did is both found also in Scripture, so everything is validated there. But beyond that, it's also scientifically validated with modern research. However, it tends to be research that's swept under the rug. It's a little bit harder to find because it doesn't fit with the narrative. For instance, butter is not bad for you. It's wonderful. Cholesterol does not cause heart disease, but inflammation and acidic vegetable oils and stress, those things cause heart attacks. Cholesterol is actually a very necessary part of our diet. Every cell of our body needs it. It's why our liver produces it if we don't have enough in our diet. Sun is actually good for you. All of these ideas that we're told are these things that are harmful are actually not harmful. God gave them to us. They're resources for our health. And I just really enjoy always learning more about that. And my heart is to teach and to help others. So a lot of those phone calls, probably most of them were people calling and asking for help. Sometimes it was practical help. How do you do this? Other times it was, I'm having this problem or that problem. What would you suggest? But a lot of times too, I was on the phone asking questions myself. And I used to make my goat milk soaps and my lotions and creams, and I'd go sell them. I'd have an exhibit at a conference so that I could go and hear people and learn. And man, that was just fantastic. So I learned a lot. I still learn a lot. I considered strongly when you were younger getting a degree in naturopathic medicine or herbalism or various things. I still haven't completely ruled that out, but I feel like now there are enough really good, smart people out there and open-minded people who are doing that work. I'm very content just teaching what I know and then connecting people to other people as needed. And thankfully there is a wide web of people out there with various capabilities to help. So I'm happy to just send people in those directions. I don't feel the need to have those credentials and be doing that myself. Now our family, in addition to Peter's gut issues when he was born, has experienced some other health issues which certainly could have done us in particular Dad. First, he developed Lyme disease, and we didn't recognize that it was Lyme disease. He apparently probably had it for about 2 years, and then it came to a critical point at which he couldn't get out of bed. And he was just racked with pain, very, very, very sick. He had a good friend and client who suggested that it might be Lyme disease, and we looked into it, and sure enough, by that point, he was very sick with Lyme disease. We went an alternative medical route, and for 5 months then he did intensive antibiotic therapy, at the end of which the medical doctor said, okay, I think you're fine now. We're going to take you off of the medication for a couple of weeks and retest you and see how you're doing. At the end of that period of time, he came back and all the symptoms were returning. And his test came back with, oh man, you've got this, this, and that too. And he ended up with rheumatoid arthritis. At that point, then he decided on his own, thankfully, to discontinue the heavy-duty antibiotics. The doctor was suggesting a new cocktail of medications. And one of the side effects was degradation of vision, damage to the eyes. And George, Dad, said, why? Why would that happen? And the doctor said, I don't know. Just watch out for it. And if you have any problems, go to an optometrist or an ophthalmologist. Thankfully, Dad said, enough of that. We're going to do something different. And I already had a plan because I knew people. I had knowledge. I'd learned lots about this. And so with the help of another functional medicine doctor, we initiated this protocol that really got him back on his feet and feeling really good. But his health is always in a state of uncertainty because if he goes off his very clean diet and a very specific diet, he does suffer issues. He has swollen joints. Occasionally he still has pain. It can be very bad. He has to take hydrocortisone because his adrenal glands do not function. And so he takes hydrocortisone in order to replace the cortisone that his own body is not making. So if he goes without that, if he actually had to go without it long term, I don't think he could survive. And 2 years ago, he had a massive widowmaker heart attack. We were in Maine. My husband is a smoker, always has been, and he has not been willing to give it up, and his doctor said, that's it, you got to stop smoking. Between that and rheumatoid arthritis causing inflammation and damage to the blood vessels, he required 3 stents. He was in the hospital for 10 days. All of the family came together, all of the kids, a couple of our sons and daughters-in-law, his parents, and we all came together to say goodbye.
It is truly a miracle what God did.
Yep.
It is truly a miracle.
Absolutely. His prognosis was certain death. He didn't wake up from surgery. He didn't wake up for about 5 days. And they kept saying, this has to happen or else. This has to happen or else. And then something else would happen. But every time that something needed to happen, we all just prayed and prayed and prayed, and we completely gave it to God. We had a very good relationship with the nurses who kept him alive and made moment by moment life and death decisions for him. But we respected and appreciated all of their work, and we're very thankful for modern medicine for that time.
Yeah.
But I do believe it was our prayers and God intervening that brought him back. And not only did he come back, but the really cool thing was that we were very uncertain as to whether or not he was even going to be mentally, cognitively okay, because I had to keep him alive for about 15 or 20 minutes. I don't know. It felt like 30 minutes. I don't know how long it was, but I'd never done CPR. It was midnight, and we were alone in a hotel room, and I just had to figure it out. We knew he was probably deprived of oxygen for some time and would have brain damage, but in fact, that's not what happened. He woke up fully there. He looked at me, he puckered up to kiss me and reached for me, and boom, we knew he was fine. But that's God, and I believe that that's God working with modern medicine.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So God is totally in control. Medicine is there when we need it, and I'm thankful that it's there when we need it. But then recovery had to happen, and that was food. And even though he was put on a low cholesterol, low salt diet, it was funny because when he did wake up and after a few days could start to eat, we would order just very bland food that I knew I could doctor up for him a little bit. And a nurse would come in, or a dear friend who's a doctor would come in and say, put some butter on that plate. And I would. His doctor in Pennsylvania had a son who worked in that city as a doctor. And they took me out to the farmer's market, and I bought raw milk, raw butter, and a couple of other things. And I had my natural salt with me, my unrefined Celtic sea salt. So
we all carry that. We all carry a little tub around in our purse.
Always in our purse and in the car, everywhere.
Yeah.
So so I doctored up his food, and he recovered in 2 years and about 3 months now. He's doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So he's still with us, and we're thankful for that, because he's kind of the glue that holds us all together. Anyway, he's a special guy, and we're just glad he's with us.
Yeah. Yep.
But God-given food is what has regained his health, and it's God-given food that has helped us all to be healthy and strong and to have healthy babies. So we're grateful for the knowledge and the teaching that we have and that we seek to share. So this is our background and where we're coming from. The year 2020 was especially challenging with COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I just kept learning and reading. Erin did as well, and separately we were thinking our own thoughts.
Yeah, my own health journey, because even though we grew up eating these really good foods, I still have some autoimmune issues. So I cannot eat gluten. I absolutely cannot have gluten, and I have issues with dairy, and I have some issues with egg and corn. So over the last couple of years, I've been working with a functional medicine doctor in my area as well, in kind of trying to figure out, kind of all the stuff that's been going on with me as well. And in doing that, I love to help people. Helping people is just a God-given love that I love to do for people. But so a lot of friends also deal with these kind of issues too. So I've, over the last several years, been trying to educate myself as well. Because for a while I would just be like, Mom, what do I do? And then, but now I'm like, okay, I really want to understand what I'm doing. I want to know all the sides. I want to completely understand the whole picture, so that I can actually make an informed decision about the choices that I make. So I have a lot of friends that come and ask me questions about, this and that, and so I just really like helping people. I love going to their houses and cleaning out their pantries, and if there's only 3 things you can do, here are 3 easy things that you can do to get started, to just so I love doing that kind of thing. But yeah, so in my own health journey that I've also been on to kind of work with my autoimmune issues, have been really good. And I always tell people, my goal is not to stay off of a specific food group for the rest of my life. I don't feel like that's not the way that God created us to be. But because of our environment, and what our bodies take in now in our modern society, and the food that we eat, it's, our bodies are not functioning the way that God intended. And so, one thing that I always try to tell people is, the goal is not to completely stay away from an entire food group for the rest of your life. Let's kind of figure out what's causing you issues right now, and stay away from those. And while we're staying away from those, let's heal from the inside, so that then we can start to handle foods again. So that's what I've been working on for the last couple of years with my functional medicine doctor, who's awesome, and really, really, really thankful that I've been on this journey, and able to understand where other people are coming from as well, and advocate for them, and help as well. So yeah. So I've always, so I'm over here I live in Florida, and so I'm always helping my friends, and I'm I should make a little grocery shopping guide for my town or something like that, and just thinking through those kind of things. And so while Mom obviously has been doing this for forever,
long time.
Yeah, and she just came to me and was like, I think I can do this, and I was like, of course you can. And then she
But I can't do it on my own. I truly can't.
And I'm the organizational logistics administrative. Love numbers, give me all the spreadsheets and numbers, and keeping things organized, and I'm detailed. So
and I love content, so I create content.
I do not want to stand in front of people and give a talk. That's all Mom. I will come to your house and sit down with you at your table and talk with you, and go through stuff one-on-one, but I do not want to stand up in front of a group of people. That's all Mom. She's the writer, she's the speaker, that's her gift, that's her God-given gift. So I just like to keep things running.
And she does. But she has to give me a kick in the butt sometimes okay, Mom, you got to get this done. And then
also while we're all I have a wonderful full-time job that I love, and I've been there for several years, and I have amazing people that I work with. So and you're raised. I have a husband, but I don't have kids. So I'm not raising a family, but you are still raising.
I'm still raising a
family, and still working on the side as well. So it's a lot to juggle. But we're both so passionate This is
Yeah.
definitely something that we're very, very passionate about for both of us, and it is at the heart of it. It is helping people, and I mean, we love God as well. We love Jesus, and so through that, we just really want people to see how amazing our God is, and how amazing what He created is. And
It's so perfect.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't live in a perfect world. It's not perfect anymore.
No.
It's damaged.
And I don't think that we are going to reach perfection in our health until we're with Jesus. That's and sometimes that's just a reality, is that we're not always going to be able to fix everything and heal everything. We do what we can, and we go to God, and
yeah. So our goal is to help all of you out there, anyone who will listen, to learn. One of my basic premises is that I need to be a servant, that we're called to be servants. Sometimes we have to be served, and that's okay. We need to learn to accept servitude graciously. But if we can't be out there serving, we're just not getting stuff done to further God's kingdom and to help people in need. So I'm striving to be that servant. I know that at some point in time I may need to be served. Hopefully that's a long, long ways away. But we want to help you to achieve optimal health as much as possible in this world, so that you can go out and do the things that you need to do and just feel good and help other people. That's really our goal. And we're thankful that we do have good people standing behind us, beginning with our own husbands and family. They're 100% there. They used to get really frustrated with me, understandably, that I spent so much time on the computer, but I was on the computer reading and learning and then going to conferences, and that's how I was able to help our family. But it's also now how we together are trying to help you. And I'm just so blessed that when I told Erin about this idea back in January, and I spent the day with Joel Salatin, picking his brain and him helping me and guiding me, I called her up and she said, Mom, I've been thinking about doing the same thing. So together we formed God's Good Table. It's taking longer to get things out than we want, and that's primarily because I still am raising kids. But we're getting it done. And we're looking forward to 2022, which is when we have a Food as Medicine 2-day conference in Kansas City, Kansas, last weekend of February. We have a couple of really exciting speakers coming for that.
Yep.
And then we have an event at Polyface, a nose-to-tail eating, in which we'll delve into how all of the animal is useful and beneficial to our health. And, God has a lot to say about that. And I've learned to utilize every part of the animal but the squeak, right? They used to say about pigs that you can use every part but the squeak or the squeal. So every part is important for our bodily health, and we're going to delve into that at Polyface with Joel Salatin and others. We are planning to do a couple of retreats, and we have 2 courses completed. Hopefully they'll be up
pretty soon.
Really, really soon. And we have about 3 more in the pipeline that we're really excited about. So we're going to delve into things like healthy families, healthy children, gut healing, mental health, brain health, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also just some really practical things like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we encourage you to keep checking out our website and our YouTube channel. In the coming months, we're going to get a lot more up. In 2022, we expect that to really be the year that we get a lot done, and we hope that you'll be there doing things with us and coming to some of our events and watching our content. So
It's such a great community, and we're so thankful. We're thankful to be a part of it.
Yes, very much so. So thanks for listening and checking us out, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye.
Thank you.